Today, we discuss Miro. Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now, And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, gathering information. You get buy-in from every team. That's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear. That's MIRO.com.
Deep underground, the Jelly Belly factory, Bibi is in her secret laboratory creating the weird and wild flavors of Bean Boozled.
I've done it again!
Is it pomegranate or old bandage? Dare to compare. Bean Boozled, 6th edition. Are you brave enough?
On this episode of The Commercial Break.
Bigger people than us.
Bigger people than us. And the president of Condé Nast. Condé Nast is never going to listen to The Commercial Break.
Isn't it Condé Nast?
I don't know what it is. Krissy, why are you asking me? Fact, news, or fiction in 1 minute or less? Condé Nasty. Yeah.
Condé Nasty.
Now, Condé Nast will never, they probably have a sign in the door, do not turn on The Commercial Break. But Condé Nasty, they're all about The Commercial Break. This is how not to start a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give it to you. So Bryan thought the most interesting thing in the world that everybody would certainly be into is if I did 4 different introductions to the podcast and put them all together. You'll hear the bones of a Commercial Break episode in here. But they're like Nico's bones. They're rattling around and they smell real bad. We really hadn't heard from anybody except for people we know about the show.
So we're like, yeah, listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It's not for everybody. I listen to your show. You're right, it's not for everybody. But, I'm sure there's somebody out there who listens to it.
The next episode of The Commercial Break starts now.
Welcome back to another episode of The Commercial Break. I'm Bryan Green. This is the director of Cock Toupee Productions, Kristen Joy Hoadley, and best to you, Krissy.
Best to you, Bryan.
Best to you out there in the podcast universe. How the hell are you? Thanks for joining us on yet another episode of this, The Commercial Break. Fact, news, or fiction in 1 minute or less, or your money back guaranteed. TCBpodcast.com to claim your check. Are you making cock toupees over there in the house?
Yeah. We've got a little machine.
I feel like I need one.
A little sewing machine, a tiny little sewing machine.
It's not that small. Gee. I'm going to put in my first order because I went directly to the bathroom after our episode the other day.
What color hair would you like?
Shaved myself. Well, probably gray.
You could go with
at
anything.
This point. Yeah. I have a friend, and he went on vacation over to Europe. Mm-hmm. He went to Greece. And it goes for a month, like 28 days or something like that.
Nice.
And when he leaves, I saw him. And he was like me. He had a beard, and there might have been like a gray hair here or there, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that look that men of a certain age start getting. Like
sure.
Some men get it in their 30s, but I was like, I noticed it on him because I know his face very well. He's a good friend of mine for many years. So I was like, you got a few gray hairs there. He comes back the other day, and I just happened to catch him in the car wash parking lot. He's in the same car wash as I am.
Okay.
And he is completely gray.
Oh.
Like, completely gray. The beard went completely gray in 28 days.
In a vacation.
On a vacation.
Usually you see that with the presidents. Like they're under so much stress.
That's true. Yeah, Obama really, he went through. But anyway, so I was like, holy shit, this is going to happen to me. And I need a cock toupee for when I go gray, because I'm not going to want to go gray. I'm going to want to go fire engine red.
Yeah, okay.
Is what I want to
I'll
get.
make that for you.
You know how they have those Instagram filters where they make your hair a certain color? Well, I don't have any hair, so I can't get that.
Okay.
So I just take it and I put it on my cock. And I'm like, there it is, fire engine red. That looks good. Fire engine red or bleach blonde. One of those two. And the drapes will completely not match the carpet.
You can go with both. Go both.
Should I go like
You can change
Just
them
do
out.
a couple streaks.
You can change them out.
Like a Ronald McDonald cocktail.
Or one day you might be feeling red.
That's
the
true.
next day you might be
That's
feeling
true.
blonde.
Maybe I'm emo and I'll go purple.
Yeah, purple
I could
one
do
day.
that. I could go just jet black.
Yeah.
And look
Try it all
like
out.
Frankie, who walks down the street. Some people have already contacted us, letting us know that they're disappointed by our decision to let Frankie go.
Yeah, well,
You gotta move on sometimes.
supply
guys.
and demand.
Here's the
what
thing.
we need to do is let the demand,
a
increase.
build-up.
Yeah, build up.
We need some inflation,
Right.
on Frankie.
We do. The price
We need
is
some
going
Frankie
up.
inflation is what we need. Because the truth is, if we don't let it go, we'll never push ourselves past
Right.
doing Frankie B episodes.
I mean, it's good stuff.
It's low-hanging fruit. It is good stuff, but I
Yes.
feel like too much of a good thing then becomes too much of a good thing.
Yeah, we can't be the Frankie.
No, I don't want to be, TC Frankie B. TC Frankie B.
FB.
So sorry, guys. It's done. It's done for now.
It's done for now.
Done for now. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say. Keep on writing in, though. The more we hear about it, the more likely I am to do
Yeah.
an episode. So if I get enough people that text me, which is probably the equivalent of 3 people that text me, I'll probably go right back to Frankie B. I know what's going to happen. Tomorrow I'm going to get on that fucking YouTube. There's going to be like 4 new Frankie B videos.
I wish he'd do another travel
How to
one.
get your cock hard when you're 50. Yeah, if he does it, he has a couple of travel ones, but he took them off too.
Oh.
And so now I'm just wondering. I think he got trolled a couple times, possibly by TCB fans. Possibly. I'm not claiming that. I don't think you guys for sure did it, but I'm pretty sure you did it. Because you were like using my exact words on the videos comment section. So I'm pretty sure Frankie.
It's that and or his girlfriend made him take it down.
I think his girlfriend made him take down the ones
Yeah.
about being single and all that, because it was just horrible,
No.
shitty,
I wouldn't
angry
want
advice.
Jeff putting out.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah. But you wouldn't date Frankie B.
No, I wouldn't.
Jeff's the opposite of Frankie B.
Yes.
He's the Frankie B antidote. If you watch a Frankie B video, you just want a reality check, call Jeff.
Yes,
He'll let you know.
Exactly.
He's
Uncle Jeff.
Yeah, a pro tem feminist over there. Jeff. He's such a nice guy. He would never put out. I don't think Jeff could get that angry.
No.
To be honest with you. No, it's just not in his personality. I think I could do a Frankie B video. Like if I got worked up enough, I think I could sound that assholeian. But Jeff, never. No, never. So 200 episodes, and I got COVID, and then we all hid in a hole for a little while, and then we come back. And I just want to update the listener out there, you out there. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happening. I don't want to talk about this ad nauseum because I'm sure nobody fucking wants to hear about this. But we yesterday ended up being the #1, not comedy podcast, not improv comedy podcast, the #1 podcast in
Overall.
all categories. All podcasts. So we're talking about Conan O'Brien, Smartlist, The Daily, MSNBC, Rachel Matt, all podcasts in Canada. Now, I don't know why Canada.
I don't know, but
particularly
as
sure.
Jeff pointed out, I think we're fostering great international relations.
Yeah.
You know,
Trudeau
it's-
and Biden gave it a go, but now it's up to TCB. Open borders.
Yes.
I call for open borders at the Canada. Whatever. Who cares? I want to normalize relations.
Thank you, Canada.
Thank you, Canada.
Yes.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, we love you.
It's probably like one more person. That
Yeah, I
started
think that's what-
listening,
that's-
and like
yeah. I mean,
the
clearly
very-
we're not the most trafficked podcast in Canada. That cannot be true. If it is, then Canada's podcast scene is really anemic. Because if the 15 people in Toronto that listened to us brought us all the way to the top of the charts,
Yeah.
that'd be bad. But Apple has their own algorithm, and we don't really know. We all guess, but
No.
it's a big
We
guessing
enjoyed
game.
looking at it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a prize.
It's a prize.
It's a prize. It doesn't really help us in any meaningful way, but we do love Canada.
We
eh?
absolutely love Canada.
Get me a double-double and a 2-4. Do you know what a double-double is?
Double in basketball.
No, that's a
Okay.
triple-triple, I think. The double-double.
Triple-double. It's a triple-double.
It's a triple-double.
Yeah.
That's a cheeseburger at Burger King.
Okay.
A double-double is, they have a famous gas station chain up there. And then a cup of coffee that you would call a double-double. Get a double-double.
Okay.
And so
I like
apparently that's a thing. You do a double-double. And then they say pick up a 2-4 on the way, which is a suitcase full of beers.
A 2-4.
A 2-4.
Yeah.
There you
Okay,
go.
got
24
it.
beers, right? Pick up a
Yes.
suitcase. And then I was reading up all about this because, you know,
I'm
the
dying
second
to go to British Columbia.
I couldn't fucking sleep last night because I saw this, you know, number one in anything. I mean, guys, there's no podcast. I mean, I'm sure there are podcast awards, but they're on Podcast Magazine. Like, who the fuck reads the Podcast Magazine, right? But, you know, so every once in a blue moon,
isn't there like the Webbies or the Netties or something?
Yeah, we got someone, I guess, nominated us for a Webby. Mm-hmm. But then the Webby comes after you for like $6,000 to be a part of the program.
Very similar situation here in Atlanta with Atlanta Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
You have been awarded this award. You're a top doctor.
Yeah, you're a top doctor.
Wow.
$16,000 for a page spread. But in order for us to tell other people you're a top doctor, we're going to have to take some money from you.
Yes. Now, I love Atlanta Magazine, but
we all love Atlanta Magazine.
Coming from the advertising world.
Coming from the advertising world, and then you're on Delta, and they always put it on the back of the Delta seats. All that good stuff. Wonderful, great. But it's kind of, and I'm not, listen, the Webby Awards, fine. I know that there's a lot of prestige around that. I've actually worked for companies that have won actual Webby Awards.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure what the angle is there. Like, I have no chance of winning a Webby Award. No artist in their right mind is going to listen to the commercial break and think that's a cherished treasure. We have to award it. It's like there's no one on earth that thinks the commercial break should be awarded anything. Not even me. I don't even think that, and I create it. So I don't know what the angle is there. It's so much money to then go through the nomination process, and you're amongst thousands of thousands. And whether or not you even get listened to by the judges is a whole nother thing. And it's like Shakira and Charlemagne the God. I mean, it's like a bunch of, I don't know that those are actually the people, but it's people like that.
Bigger people than us.
Bigger people than us. And like, the president of Condé Nast. Condé Nast is never going to listen to the commercial break.
Isn't it Condé Nast?
I don't know what it is, Krissy. Why are you asking me? Fact, news, or fiction in 1 minute or less. Condé Nasty. Yeah.
Condé Nasty.
Now, Condé Nast will never, they probably have a sign in the door, do not turn on the commercial break. But Condé Nasty, they're all about the commercial break. I'm starting my own company called Condé Nasty. And all in the halls, when you walk in the door in the lobby and you're sitting to wait for the meeting with them, some important meeting or an interview for your new position as the director of nastiness, all you're gonna hear is the commercial break podcast.
Interspersed with Janet Jackson, nasty boys.
Don't mean a thing.
Nasty boys.
Yeah. We got a new video editor, right? Someone
right? That's right. She's amazing.
She's amazing. She's amazeballs. But her name is Morgan, just to let you know. So if we talk about Morgan, she's our new video editor. And so she's going to help up our game. She's going to help up our game from...
I'm sorry, Morgan. This is funny because Jeff, a long time ago, wrote a review as Morgan.
Oh, really?
On Amazon.
For our podcast?
No, not just in general. As a review. So now whenever we have like a wish list of things on Amazon, it pops up as Morgan. And so Kelly, my sister, was like, who is Morgan?
We're the Morgans.
I'm like, it's Jeff.
Yeah, it's Jeff the Morgan.
AKA Morgan.
So Morgan is coming on board, and we're in the process of integrating. And I went through a pretty thorough vetting process because I knew that we had to take our game from like 0 to a negative point. I had to go up one step.
Yes.
And she brought it like 5 steps in 15 minutes.
She did.
But I went through the vetting process, and I didn't say much to any of the people that we were talking to because, and only because, I know that a certain type of person is going to, like, you have to be a certain type of person. You're going to have to listen to a lot of the commercial break.
That's true.
And the only other person on earth who's going to hear more of my voice than me is Morgan. And I just feel like, I'm like, Morgan, you got to...
You might want to have a couple other people in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to last
Morgan
a week.
She's
One lovely human. She's going to last a week. I'm going to say something to offend her. Sure. I probably already just did. She's probably already like, nah, fuck
she's
this
like,
guy.
That's it.
I don't want to be talked about on air. I don't want my family to know that
I'm associated.
My new prestigious job is the video editor of the commercial break. I always feel like my neighbors are looking at me sideways too sometimes. Like, we'll put out an episode and like... Not my neighbors. I should say my neighbors are wonderful. We actually hit the neighbor lottery. They're incredible. But on one side of the house, on the other side of the house, not so much. But on one side of the house, they're incredible. But
don't you have weeds on the other side?
Yeah, I got weeds, but through the weeds, I don't know what's going on over there. It's a constantly barking dog. Some guy. This is probably what my neighbor behind me thinks of me, because it's the constantly barking dog and shut the fuck up! And then I think that's all I'm doing in this house 24 hours a day is running, chasing Blue. Shut up! Shut up! So, sometimes I'll go to a school function with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to a party one time, like a pool party, backyard pool party. You know what I'm talking about? One of those, the parents, the kids, where it's constant chaos and someone, you're always afraid that you're 1 second from some child drowning. So
right.
At least me, I'm real nervous about that. I have a pool in my backyard and I'm always so hyper vigilant, but then you put 50 of them in the same fucking general area and they're all upside down in the pool blowing bubbles and dragging each other down to the bottom. Anyway, I went to this, and I don't know. There was just a couple that was like staring at me from the side eye the second that I walked in. And the first question the guy asked is like, so what do you do? Right. I'm like, you know what I do, jackass. It's already around the school. They put it in the newsletter. Brian Green, don't listen to the commercial break with children in the car in Spanish.
I feel like maybe we need a promo show that we can just put out there that's like a safe show.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
we should do like a safe for work version of the commercial break.
Just something.
How average are our shows? I think the average show is like 56 minutes or something.
Make it really boring, and then people are like, yeah, then I don't want to do it.
I'll just have Gustavo or somebody cut out all the offensive parts, and then it'll literally be the intro and the exits. It'll literally be, welcome to this episode of The Commercial Break. Fact, news, or fiction in 30 seconds or less. Bye! Well, anyway, so Canada, number one. Thanks, guys. We appreciate
Canada.
it. If you're on board and you're listening from Canada, welcome. Canada was one of the first early signs of life for this podcast.
Early adopter?
Yeah, they were early adopters because... Let's get into it. We're going to do a little history of the commercial break right now.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was time to reflect, genuflect, if you will, at the altar of the commercial break. When we've been through the story a million times, so I'm not going to go through every inch of it because I'm sure that people have been listening to this podcast for a while. I've probably heard this more than they care to. But Krissy and I started the commercial break right as the pandemic hit. I was going to do a podcast about commercial real estate. I decided that was
quickly pivoted.
Yeah. I'm no longer working in commercial real estate. If that gives you any idea about how things are going. So basically, Krissy and I didn't want to do a podcast by myself, at least not at first. I needed somebody to bounce stuff off of. It's really hard to be funny when you don't know if what you're saying is funny. And I'm not sure it is anyway, but at least to Krissy and I it is. Yeah. But so I asked her to come on board.
We laugh at each other.
Yeah, I asked her to come on board as a guest for the first 2 episodes or 3 episodes. And
here we are.
Yeah, she's been here 350 hours of content later. She's still here. So... that's how the podcast got started. You got to understand.
And we were best friends for years leading up to that.
Krissy and I know each other, and we worked on the business side of radio, and then occasionally we snuck up into the studio.
Yeah, we did.
And acted the idiot. Occasionally we went on air and then got kicked directly off air and then snuck up again. And then we were like doing a little pirate radio thing in one of the Clear Channel studio. So April 15th, 2020 is the day that we actually sent out our first episode.
Wow.
And I went back and looked, and it was recorded. It was recorded on April 11th. So 4 days later, then we released our first episode. I think when we first released,
you 4 days to edit.
It took me 4 days to get up the courage to get it out there. It took me 4 days to ponder if now was the right time to blow up my entire life. I figured, it's the pandemic. Why not?
Why not?
We're into the world. Who
right.
cares?
Yeah.
I think it did take some time.
Yes.
And as you're about to hear, part of the reason why maybe it took so long is because I just didn't have a good grasp of what I wanted the show to sound like at all. So
I'm laughing already.
At some point, these episodes are coming down. So you go get your taste of them now, because the first 20 episodes of this show, while there are funny moments, are pretty rough around the edges.
Right.
Starting with, not the least of, is the fact that Krissy and I are recording on some sub-Zoom level recording equipment that 2 guys in a basement made. The audio quality is horrible. Not to mention, I had a microphone that is generally considered the worst microphone in podcast history. I bought it for $1,000. Everybody goes,
That's the worst one.
There, I know. Literally articles out there. 5 steps to being a podcaster. Don't buy this microphone.
You bought it.
First, I bought it. I'll show them. So
this is when was this the one that you threw to me? Like, because this is before we could.
This is that stupid
interact.
one I had on a stand.
Oh, okay.
And they call it omnidirectional, which means basically it takes all of the noise from the room and throws it right into the microphone, which you'll hear in just a second. So I drove to Krissy's house at the time of the pandemic. Now remember, everyone was,
beginning.
Yeah, this is like the first week of the pandemic, like lockdowns. And I literally sanitized a plastic bag. We had masks and gloves and
hazmat suits.
I had a pool net with a 10-foot extension. And I put it out the window and handed Krissy a microphone because she didn't have any recording equipment. And I knew enough to know that we can't do this on a computer microphone because I had heard those versions of podcasts a lot.
I think we even tried it like with my just my AirPods or my.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was actually. You know what? The first episode is AirPods.
Yes.
The first episode is AirPods, and then I think for the second episode we decided that's shit. It's just shit. I don't even know why we put this episode out. We should have just waited and just gone to this. Like we should have just prepared ourselves a little bit.
Sometimes you gotta just jump in.
Yeah, I guess so. I had been waiting a long time, and so here we go. You want to hear it? You want to hear it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I think so.
This is how not to start a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give it to you. So Bryan thought the most interesting thing in the world that everybody would certainly be into is if I did 4 different introductions to the podcast and put them all together. You'll hear the bones of a commercial break episode in here. But they're like Nico's bones. They're rattling around and they smell real bad. Nico's my dead dog that walks around the house. Commercial Break would now like to introduce the Commercial Break. You can visit TCB online at tcbpodcast.com. All the latest in online technology available right there on one webpage. Video, audio, and information. Still using a rotary phone? No problem. Leave a message on the voicemail machine at 661-237-8296. That's 661-BEST, the number 2, yo.
Kids, get your parents' permission before calling. Standard messaging rates to apply.
Go to the interwebs and look up Instagram.com. Look for the monocle, that's the search function, and type in that little funny @ sign, The Commercial Break. Click follow and watch the magic of the internet come alive. If you'd like to see all of the Commercial Break's home movies, they're now digitized for the information age at youtube.com/The Commercial Break. And remember, whenever you need a break, choose The Commercial Break. We'll be right back to this episode of The Commercial Break, right after a message from our sponsors. Guys, I am not afraid or ashamed to tell you that, like probably everybody else in the world, my credit occasionally takes a ding here or there. A late payment, cable equipment that never magically appeared back at the cable company, or a random creditor that I've never heard of trying to squeeze me for money. While I had some time last week, I opened up Credit Karma and I looked through my annual credit report to make sure I was addressing any issues with my credit. It's something that I do about once a quarter, and I do it through the Credit Karma app. I have had this app forever, for many years, and it has changed the way that I deal with my credit. If you're like me and you've had the occasional ding on your credit, applying for a credit card can be a really nerve-wracking experience. You have no idea whether or not they're going to say yes or no. You take all that time out of your day. They do a hard pull on your credit, only to find out 2 weeks later by mail, you didn't get the credit card. And those rejections can be embarrassing and they can hurt your credit. That's why Credit Karma created Karma Confidence Technology. It helps their members apply to credit cards with more confidence. Credit Karma uses your credit profile to show you the offers that are tailored to your financial situation. I have actually applied for and gotten 3 separate credit cards through Credit Karma over the years. Credit Karma has a bunch of credit card partners, so you can be assured that you're exploring all sorts of options. And they can even help you with credit card rewards. Credit Karma can help you compare your reward options so you can find the best card that fits your lifestyle. Are you ready to find the card for you? Head to Credit Karma and check out your personalized mix of offers today. Go to creditkarma.com or download the Credit Karma app to find the card for you. That's creditkarma.com. Credit Karma with a K.com. Krissy and I are big fans of Credit Karma, and we appreciate them becoming a sponsor of the Commercial Break.
deep underground the Jelly Belly factory, BB is in her secret laboratory creating the weird and wild flavors of Bean Boozled.
I started again.
Is it pomegranate or old bandage? Dare to compare. Bean Boozled, 6th edition. Are you brave enough?
Okay, here we go.
Have you lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the real estate market recently because you've been scammed by scammy scammers? Don't worry, I have spent at least 13 seconds learning how to turn the tables. You too can be a Nigerian real estate scammer online.
I'm sorry. This actually was born out of a dinner that we had gone to pre-pandemic.
You're
where
right.
we were laughing about the scammers in
You're
real
right.
estate.
Yeah, that's right. This is a voicemail that I left for a group of friends.
I still got that voicemail.
I still have it too, yeah. I mean, obviously I still have it. It is embedded in the history of the commercial break. This is not something I put together for the episode. This is a voicemail. Or a voice note that I left all of these friends after a dinner one night when we were talking about the real estate business and how scammy it really is. So here you go.
Learning how to turn the tables. You too can be a Nigerian real estate scammer online for free. I'm going to show you how to make multiple fake Facebook pages, and you're going to become the king of internet marketing. Buy my series now today, $19.99 plus $19.99 shipping and handling. And right now, if you act quickly, I'm going to throw in another package for $19.99 plus $19.99 shipping.
Nice.
That's actually pretty funny.
It is.
And handling. It's a deal you can't beat. Send it to a friend. Send it to a family. Give it to your dog. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to be making money on this brand new series.
On this brand new series, mic drop. I remember
Everyone's
I
making money.
recorded that on the shitter.
That's right. You told me you
I
did.
was in the bathroom at night after dinner, and Astrid was like, "Who are you talking to in there?" And I was like, talking to my friend in the real estate business. Okay, now here it gets
That's
really
good.
good. Ready?
Okay.
Here's the 17-minute introduction to the first episode of the commercial break. One that makes no sense whatsoever.
At least you started off with the great music.
I did, right off the beginning.
Coming up on this episode of The Commercial Break.
Coming up, we cannot afford a real announcer. Coming up on this $3 episode of The Commercial Break. I couldn't wait for the $25 announcer to make our promos.
We're going to get you a microphone eventually. It sounds perfectly fine, to be honest with you. You sound perfectly fine.
You sound perfectly fine. Thanks, friend.
Oh my God.
You sound great, Krissy. Welcome to the world famous bunny ranch.
What is that? I don't know. Someone's coming in on the frequency. It sounds wonderful on this end. This is podcast gold.
Right. You sound great.
I haven't even ever heard a podcast. Sound great. You sound great on this end. Which end was that?
Right.
The ass end.
It
is
was
what
the
that
ass
was.
end.
Yeah.
Fine. So that's good news. However, looking at a map,
My God, I sound
What
like
are you
I'm in a
doing?
tunnel.
I know. You sound like you're in a tunnel. A big sax or something.
of Atlanta. Somewhere down in Atlanta.
What am I
use your
doing?
FaceTime camera. You have to go back to the permissions? Oh, my
What are we
God.
doing?
Krissy, this is like, I can't even imagine what is going through my head right now. Why I ever thought this part of our conversation would be funny. This is the 36-minute lead up into us actually recording.
Oh,
Do you remember
okay.
what trouble we were having?
Yeah.
You're like, I can't, the permissions.
The
and
microphone,
The
the
microphone, the
permissions,
thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
recorded all of that and then decided that it was a good idea to intro our whole podcast is predicated on technical issues and shitty sound quality from the very beginning. A theme that would follow us for the next 205 episodes.
Yes.
Back to the
Allow
with the
OS
thing,
permissions. I have to go back to the
security.
permissions. Okay.
Start a fucking
Yeah, with an Apple.
No one told me. No one
Security.
told me.
You're having one conversation, I'm having another, and I'm just...
I think I might have called Jeff in, like, Jeff, come
you
help
did?
me.
I let Astrid and Allison listen to this before I put it out. They're like, sounds great. It's super funny. What's funny about this? I'm talking over Krissy. I'm singing, and Krissy's doing something.
It's gonna be this difficult.
Okay, hold on.
Random laugh.
I should have written a book.
Hold on. Hold, please.
The intro that goes on for forever.
You can't hear me?
When we get started, it's not any better.
I can't hear you now. Oh, there you go.
If I wrote a book, would you do the foreword?
Warning, the commercial break contains racy language and off-color joking. If you're easily offended, you may want to press pause, and if you have small children in the room, you're an awful parent. Now, enjoy the show.
That's the way to get him, Brian. Offend him right at the beginning.
Racy language.
Offend the only 3 people that are going to listen to your show. Who am I talking to?
Yeah. Hi.
Okay, I can
Hey.
see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Through your Bluetooth?
I can hear you through my AirPods. Jeff, you can't hear Brian, right? No, we're good.
Wow, look at that. We started a podcast.
We started a podcast.
The very beginning of the commercial break,
Great.
ladies and gentlemen. Recorded on April 11th, 2020 for posterity. If you're keeping score at home, that's what you write down.
Yeah.
Okay, so we send out the first episode, and there's zero signs of life on the back end of that. I'll tell you what. 3 weeks earlier, I had put out 2 weeks earlier, I had put out a podcast about the then emerging federal relief program they were giving to small businesses, the SBA. I had made a SBA, just letting people know how they can get a hold of these loans, these SBA loans. And I sent it out to a group of people on a mass text message. We were all sharing information on how we're going to survive this, right? You got to remember at the time, it's super scary.
Sure.
For small business owners, we don't have any clue. Like,
Yeah.
is the real estate industry going to go into the tank? It didn't. It did the exact opposite, and I left and should have made money then. Now I'm $60,000 in the hole in this stupid podcast. There's sponsors pouring in from nowhere. Sponsors canceling left and right. It's the whole thing. We're doing great over here. Great. So I had put out this SBA episode, and I had 110 downloads on that in like the first 24 hours.
Yes.
I thought that I had created magic. Like, holy shit, maybe this whole maybe if I do this other podcast, this comedy one, this is going to take off. I had 110 people listen to this. And, I don't even know what happened. We sent this episode out, and I went back and I looked at our stats. And on the very 3 days after we released that episode, we got 22 downloads. 20 of which I am positive were me going to each podcast application and downloading the episode.
And then it was Jeff and I.
I think Rachel, Allison.
Right. Yes.
But we're in the 20s.
Ooh,
However.
And I just had to point this out too, because when we started this, there weren't podcasting has just exploded in recent years.
Yeah.
There's so many now. But at the time, I think I had maybe like 3 that I was following on my podcast player. Now I have like 50.
52.
But I mean, they were major ones. It was like NPR and New York Times and different, major ones.
That's who everyone listened to.
So we put it out.
So we put it out there. We thought we were just going to go right into that stream of wealth.
Exactly.
Rogan's going to sign a Spotify contract? We got to get on this trend right now.
You're sending me those articles.
I know. I was like, see? We could make some money doing this. I have a 7-year plan. 7 years to make $1. If we spend $100,000 a year for the first 7 years, we're going to make $10. Which is kind of what
It's totally what happened.
Okay, so imagine that. The first 3 days, 20 but we didn't know any different, so we were excited about any signs of life.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I don't think we were like super excited, but I think we were like, somebody's listening, right? And then
we were doing it more for ourselves too, honestly.
I think we've always been doing it for
we
ourselves.
always have been.
I mean, now we have responsibilities and sponsors and stuff like that, but we're still just doing it for ourselves.
Yeah, make each other laugh.
We love our sponsors, but it's not like, we're not beholden.
My mom had just passed away, which was also a big deal.
That's true.
Very suddenly and early. And so that was making me laugh. We're in this crazy time. We don't know what we're doing.
Astrid was super pregnant. Yeah.
Astrid was pregnant. We were just like, well, let's just keep it going.
I think it was, and I've said this on other episodes.
Holed up in closets.
I know. We holed up in closets and recorded late nights and on vacations. And we didn't know anything about what we were doing, but we were having fun and still are.
Yes.
That's true. The day that it's not fun, I'm giving it up. I'm just going to be like, I don't want to do this just because. I'll still do it. I'll still do it.
We're making money.
Don't worry, AT&T. I got you covered. Mint Mobile, don't drop that cancellation. But one interesting thing happened. I went back and looked at after episode number 2, right? Then we double the audience. We get to 50, but then we start seeing people from around the world are downloading, or at least their IP addresses are from around the world. And Canada is an early indication of the sign of life because they're the first country where we see other people outside of the Atlanta, Georgia area and people we know, like in Miami or Dallas or Chicago, people where we know those human beings, those downloads are probably coming from human beings we already know.
We personally know, yeah.
But in Canada, we started Canada and Amsterdam in the Netherlands. We started getting people listening, and we had no clue how they found it. But listen, that's just podcasts are just weird.
And then
like
they
that.
fell off.
And they fell off.
And now
because they probably took a listen to that first 2 minutes and was like, what the fuck is this?
This is so awful.
They should probably edit out the part where they're trying to figure out the
home. They were a captive audience.
Warning! The commercial break is a horrible podcast. You've downloaded the wrong thing.
It's going to infect your computer.
Warning! You've just been hacked. Not purposefully, on accident. The commercial break contained malware from the beginning. So Canada is an early adopter, is my point. Yes. And, who knows if there's actually people in. That's the thing about podcasting, too, is you don't know where the downloads are coming from. Right. All these lessons we would learn coming up. But at the time, we got all excited. We thought everything was in. Astrid, who is Venezuelan.
Yes.
Her mother, who lives down in Venezuela, who is like a very prominent business person down there and has a huge network of other prominent business. Everybody, sent the link around, and all of a sudden we go from 50 to like 200 downloads in a couple days. And I was like, holy shit. What happened? And Astrid goes, my mom sent it to all her friends. And people were like texting her back like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, it's my son-in-law. Get your daughter out of the States. You're married to a madman.
That's right. She sent it to all her friends.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
So episode number 10.
We've dropped off in Venezuela now.
Yeah, we don't have any Venezuelan listeners anymore. Not even Gustavo, who works for the fucking podcast, listens. We still love you, Gustavo. Okay, episode number 10, or 9 or 10. I actually went back and looked at all of this.
Yes.
I make the decision, independently of Krissy, my wife, or anybody else financially involved in the podcast, that I'm going to start spending money on advertising.
That's right.
So
Did you buy a billboard?
I bought billboards.
In L.A.?
On the Sunset Strip.
While no one's driving because no one's leaving their house.
Not to mention it's 5 a.m. in the morning. Who the fuck is driving at 5 a.m. in the morning? I spent like $1,000 for a billboard.
Remember you told me you were like, I bought a billboard campaign. I was like, a billboard?
Billboards? Brian? Billboards? And
you're like, I got one in L.A.
It literally had a picture of Krissy and I, the commercial break logo, and said, click here to listen. Because I couldn't get another banner ad made quickly. I put click here to listen. Oh my God. My marketing genius was already at work.
Oh, yeah.
But my idea was we have no listeners in California at all. If I put it in Los Angeles and then
People
I did
would
like.
wonder.
Yeah. I spent all our money on that one blip, they call it a blip, on that one blip that lasted, 30 seconds for 30 seconds every 10 minutes for 1 hour, that I had to spread the rest of the budget out across the country in places like Topeka, Kansas. But the truth is, we did get a few people that listened off of that. I don't think they stuck around.
I was going to say they've fallen off.
That's right. So then I decided I'm going to take my internet marketing experience and I'm going to go do some pay per click. That's what I'm going to do, because people are going to be looking for the commercial break and they're not going to be able to find us unless I put some ads out there. Well, that's another useless venture. And I talked about it on episode number 16.
Okay.
Figured it out.
But the other thing that came up was, what are the search terms that people are getting to our website from? Yes. I'm going to give you an example of the clearly relevant key terms that Google has now charged me to send people to my website for. Search terms for the Commercial Break podcast. Best sex podcast.
I remember us doing this episode.
Yeah, I remember this too. I remember every
this
episode.
was still from home. We were both doing it from home.
Yeah, you know what's funny is there's so many moments in my life where now that my brain is just stuffed with information that I can't remember clearly.
Yes.
Or that I don't remember clearly unless I think about it real hard, right? Or somebody kind of pokes or prods me a picture or whatever. I go through these episodes to put stuff like this together, and I remember every fucking moment.
Was this the same episode where you talked about your piano playing at the Switzerland resort?
No. Home Sweet Home, no. No, but this is Best Podcast to Sleep To.
Okay, right.
Number 16. So listen, here's the bomb that dropped. So
paid about $10 for those clicks. Best podcast to fall asleep to. Now, I can't argue with this one too much.
No way.
I was spending money.
Mm-hmm.
Google was picking the key terms for me based on my website.
It was a smart campaign.
It was a smart campaign is what it was. And man, it was an awful smart because it was putting us up there with best podcasts to fall asleep to. Can you imagine trying to fall asleep to the commercial break? We are so loud and obnoxious. And by the way, here's another interesting thing about the evolution of the podcast is we're doing kind of a meta recap of
retrospective.
An autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
What is so different today than was back in the first 40 episodes, 50 episodes, let's call it, is the way that the podcast is structured, the way that we have found some structure to our show. But certainly the intro of the show is the thing that's most noticeably different, to me anyway.
Yes.
Is when we first started the podcast, we'd be like, hey Krissy, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Now we're like,
or the zoo crew.
Or the zoo crew, the morning zoo crew. Everybody's working for the weekend.
It's Friday.
Everybody finds a new I'm rocking right ready. You made it to Friday. You made it to Wednesday afternoon.
Hump day.
Hump day. What you say? Hump day. What you say?
Oh my God.
Let's go to line number 3. What are you doing this weekend? We're going to the lake. Go to the lake.
Line number 3.
Yeah. Line number 3. You won tickets to Molly Grew's 35th reunion tour. Vince Daniel's gonna throw up on the front row. Who wants to see Vince Neil's pecker because he's coming out with his fly undone?
Wow!
Wow! Wow! Dr. Fever!
Did you say Dr. Fever?
Dr. Fever! Help me out with the lyrics. I'm out of breath. Oh my God. Kickstart. Okay, all right. Oh, this is why this show has become popular. Because it's 27 minutes of Krissy and I laughing. Which is another noticeable difference. I think you and I were so giggly in the first couple of episodes. Mm-hmm. When something funny would happen, we would be giggly, but we were reserved about it. Like you could tell that we almost like stepped on our own laughing, right? It was like, okay, we can't, don't laugh.
I was nervous.
Yeah. And then I was nervous too.
Now I just don't care.
Yeah, now I just don't give a
Not
shit.
just drink enough.
I figure it's working. Krissy's drunk. I've got my tea. We don't really give a shit about you. That's not true. We love you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Episode number. Let's move forward another 10 episodes or another
going forward in the
into the
timeline.
20s. Going forward in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We meet one of the first, I guess, characters on the show, but one of the people that works with the show that we had some fun with. Yeah. Now we're starting to get a sense of personality around the commercial break. That drunk guy at the bar, they're always kicking out. That drunk guy at the bar that keeps hitting on the hostess, throwing up on the floor, asking for cocaine. You know, that guy.
The episode Gustavo, episode number 312. Gustavo. I love that name too, Gustavo.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it sounds like a
name.
Spanish sex machine, doesn't he? Gustavo.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's that boy in the underwear? Gustavo. Who's that boy who you do care? Gustavo. Feels like a spa.
I remember
International
doing
Man
this
in
show too. I was like at my computer at my parents' house, hidden away, like up in the closet.
Because you're too embarrassed to tell anybody you're a part of the commercial break. Be real with me. Have you ever been embarrassed to tell somebody that you're part of the commercial break?
No, not at all.
You know?
No, I'm not.
No,
I haven't
even
been
I
embarrassed.
haven't. I created it.
I'm not embarrassed at all, but I've also been like, I have to do the caveat of it's not for everyone.
Yeah. As soon as you say that too, people are like, "Oh, I get it.
It's a comedy podcast.
It's a
What?
comedy podcast.
That sounds amazing. Well, it's
not for everyone." That's our new tagline. The commercial break. It's not for everyone.
Like my mother-in-law, for instance. Not for everyone.
No. My mother-in-law doesn't understand what we're saying, thank God. Krissy, we just came up with a season 3 and forward tagline. It used to be the commercial break, an absurd comedy podcast. It's now the commercial break. It's not for everyone. Because I say that every time I meet somebody.
Too.
Yeah, every time. Every time. I'm like, well, it's not for everybody. Like children or other people easily offended by anything. If you don't like laughing or screaming or loud noises, if you have children. If you were born after 1990, you're male or female. If you have a penis or a vagina or whatever in between, it's probably not for you.
It's just for aliens.
It's
we
for
know
aliens.
all the aliens like it.
Okay, let's see.
So go to At the Commercial Break on Insta and join, and then you go to TCB.
There's a point to why I played this clip. Just keep listening.
Podcast.com, which is where you can become a member of the break room. Let me explain a little change up in
the break room. I remember sitting there like going through, racking my brain. You were like, Krissy, we've got to come up with topics for the break room newsletter. I was like, okay.
But listen to the rest of this clip. Listen to the rest of this clip. And then, because like, you're so on point here. Listen to the rest of this clip.
With candy that gave people diarrhea. Wasn't that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thinning, if you don't mind, Krissy. Here's what's going to happen. I've decided it's entirely too much responsibility on my shoulders for me to actually put out a newsletter every month. And given the response of the newsletter, we only have 3 people at the commercial break. 2 of them did not open the newsletter.
This starts a long and historical trend of Krissy and I doing things for exactly 1 episode.
A couple. Maybe a couple.
Maybe 2. Yeah.
We tried a couple times and we're like, yeah, that didn't work.
So early on, we have a couple hundred listeners probably at this point. We're probably to 1,000 total downloads. I'm just taking a guess because I actually didn't look this up. I'm guessing at episode number 26, we're at 1,000 or maybe 2,000 total downloads. So now Krissy and I in all 25 episodes. So that's like, 100. Which is great, by the way. Yes. At that time, it was great. We were so excited about it. And listen, numbers are a vanity metric. It really doesn't mean anything except for all the money you can make off of it. That seems to be eluding us. Why we can't turn our numbers. fucking say anything. I'm number one in Canada. No one gives a shit. I send it around and people are like, is that real?
That's not right.
How did that happen?
Jeff was like, what?
I know.
He grabbed my phone last night and showed it to me. He goes, there's no way. He goes, NBC, you're beating out NBC.
I know. Everyone doubts me. I sent it to a few people last night because I was so excited. And they're like, how did that happen? How did that happen? Because we're the best podcast in Canada right now. And they're like, must be, someone replied, must be a small audience in Canada. Fuck you, man. But Krissy and I, we're trying to rack our brains on how, with the little resources that we have, we can get
You've blown it on billboards.
Yeah,
and the worst microphone in the world.
Billboards, the worst microphones, and wires for the studio that don't work. I have a box of wires that have never been used. I just keep buying. I'm like, oh, we need this wire. Oh, that's not the wire we need.
That's so true.
It's true.
It's so true. It's happened so many times. You're like, this is the one way. Shit, I'm going to go to Best Buy.
When we went to Menfo, I brought an entire huge suitcase worth of equipment. I used a recorder the size of my fist for the entire thing. We had a whole booth that had nothing in it but my recorder the size of my fist. And a t-shirt. So Krissy and I we're trying to rack our brain to come up with these ideas to get people engaged in the show, because to that point, we really hadn't heard from anybody except for people we know about the show.
So we're like, yeah, listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It's not for everybody. I listen to your show. You're right, it's not for everybody, but
Good for you.
I'm sure there's somebody out there who listens to it. I had a guy one time.
Follow your dream.
Yeah. I had a guy one time. I love him. I'm not going to say his name, but I love him, and he'll know who I am. He'll know. But he doesn't listen anymore, so it doesn't really fucking matter. We went golfing, episode number 10, 15, 20, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been listening to the podcast, man. Really good. Really solid stuff. It's really funny. I listen to every episode. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I went to the World Series baseball game with him last year, and we had the most awkward conversation about my podcast. He was like, so how's that podcast going? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's going well. He's like, yeah, I used to listen, but then,
now I don't.
So much stuff to do. He's like, last episode I listened to was probably 26. What are you guys on now? And I'm like, 212. It's such an awkward night. I didn't know how to handle it. I was like, I don't care if you don't listen.
My sister's mother-in-law. I won't. This was last Thanksgiving. I'm there at the house at Kelly's, and she goes, "Hey," she goes, "Hey, yeah." She goes, "I listened to your podcast."
Yeah,
and then that was all she said.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I go, it's not for everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Where's the turkey? More wine.
What time can we get out of here?
Turkey.
That's right. All right, so that's episode number 26. We start a long string of things that we will not finish.
Yes.
The break room being the first of them, which is a club.
Started off as a newsletter.
Then we tried to do a Patreon. And then we went to Clubhouse.
Didn't you recently just discover that we had way more newsletter signups than you thought we had?
Listen, we got like 78 newsletter signups when we started announcing that program. And I was so fucking excited. But some of the names were like, go fuck yourself and, tiny penis and butthole magic or something. It's like, so let's say we had 50 real names. And we just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Right? We said, okay, no more break room. I recently...
Well, it was time intensive.
It was no time intensive because we didn't spend any time on it. We did one and just let it go. It was time intensive. Making this show is time intensive. Doing the break room was... We were
trying to come up with ideas.
Yeah, I copy and pasted a story about gassy candy.
Yeah, exactly.
About candy giving diarrhea to everybody. Okay, so O is the sugar-free gummy bears.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Okay, so... but I just dropped it. But then a couple of days ago, I go back and I look at our inbox for that particular program, and there are hundreds of emails that I had never seen. Like, it all happened after we let the break room go.
Of course.
Hundreds of emails of people like, I never responded to. I'm sorry,
guys.
Opportunities. Yeah, now we're
flying away.
4 websites into it now, and I don't even know how to get a hold of those people. I mean, I guess I could send them an email, but that's too time intensive, guys. Just listen to the show. Text me. I'll text you back.
Yes.
Texting I can do.
Yeah.
Texting I can do. And I think at this time we also start our Instagram page, which still has the exact same amount of people it did.
I haven't updated mine in like 10 months. I think
just
since
give
New
up.
Year's. New Year's was
I know. I think the commercial break is the same. I think my son posted a picture of himself with a Frozen filter on. That's the last thing we did on Instagram because no one gives a shit. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. All right. So now that's episode number 20. Gustavo, the break room. You get it. We move into episode number 30.
Are we going to like have a guest on soon?
Yes, there is. Well, it's not a guest, but it's somebody
that we work with.
Oh, no. That comes in the history of Commercial Break Part 2.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We're going to do two of these episodes, not back to back. We're going to do two of these episodes. So just hang tight. This is the early years, but I know who you're talking about. Dr. Henry Fonda.
Yes,
Dr. Henry Fonda has his own special place in our heart. But here we go. This is actually where I think we kind of might come into our own a little bit.
Hold on. I think it's just Henry Fonda. He was never a doctor.
He was.
You always like to put doctor in front of people's names.
Dr. Henry Fonda.
Doc Scott.
Dr. Scott. Well, we have to tell people about this now. I can't just say Dr. Scott. Okay.
Years ago.
Sidebar.
Years ago. I don't even think I had met Jeff yet. So, I mean, this is over 10 years ago. Yeah. We're at
this
this
is many
party.
years before that.
We're at this party, and Brian invites me to come. We're best friends. We're doing everything together, all the time. So, we go up there to this party, and we're hanging out, and Brian goes, hey, so, this is Scott, doctor.
Scott. Yeah.
He's a doctor. And everybody calls him Doc Scott. And I said, okay, great. He's an older gentleman, super nice, like gray hair, and somebody's dad actually that was there at the party. So we're sitting there, and I'm alone talking to him later. And Brian goes over and goes, "What's up, Doc Scott?" And he goes, "Hey, what's up, Brian?" He goes, "Why are you calling me Doc? I'm not a doctor."
I didn't know. I had no idea.
His profession is framing.
I know. He's Doctor of Framing. And by the way, this is like the third time I had this conversation.
You've known him for years.
Years and years. I'd been on weekend retreats with this guy. I'd been at yoga classes that lasted 5 days with this guy.
But he had introduced him as a doctor.
And hey, Doc Scott, what's going on? He'd be like, I don't understand why you're calling me Doc. I go, I don't know. I thought you were a doctor. A podiatrist? Chiropractor? No? Phlebotomist? What are you? Oh my God. Okay. Henry Fonda will make an appearance. Here we are. Episode number 32.
Oh God. Here we go. We got video to this.
This is our third time. Now we are in the studio
this is
together.
when we were to the side.
Yes.
Okay. Then we switched.
This is episode.
I'm wearing my mushroom shirt.
Yeah, I know. This is the third episode we are doing in front of a camera in a studio together. So after episode number 28, Krissy and I come together in my house in a studio that was really kind of put together hastily, but not looking bad.
No, not looking bad at all.
My father-in-law did that. I think he did a good
Yes.
job. Okay. So here, but the lighting is awful. I have an orange light behind me. Why am I lit up by an orange light? I look like Trump on steroids is what I look like. I look like Trump eating carrots. That's what I look like. Okay, here we go. This is one of the episodes that people often.
Oh my gosh, I'm laughing so hard.
When they text us.
I can't believe you're making us
once every 6 months. This is one of the episodes
they ask about.
Yeah, they ask about. They like it.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
So we get there, and we get there 15 minutes early. And of course, my main concern is that there is a raging fucking pandemic going on
right
here in the United States.
Yeah, it's up like 80-something% new cases.
200,000 new cases.
Wow.
On this day that we are recording, which is Sunday before the Tuesday when this will be broadcast.
Yeah, we had stand-up microphone.
Look at that. It's a real the gang who can't shoot straight is what it is.
And so I'm really concerned about this because now I'm going to put my son and my daughter in the lap of a strange man who's been touching thousands of other children over the course of a couple
how
of weeks.
Are they making that safe? Look, I look like
not,
Frozen.
well, here's how
I'm like, how are they making
It's funny. This is funny. You can go to youtube.com/the commercial break if you want to follow along.
My face isn't moving at all.
No, it's
not my head.
because they keep everyone in the house, everyone in the staff, I say staff, my wife and a couple other people keep telling us to look at the fucking camera, but we
that's
don't.
Right. That's how I was like glued to looking at the camera. We shoved
Come
our
on
kids in his
down
lap.
to COVID Christmas. Our Santa Claus wears plastic and nothing else. No cleaning, no sanitizing. Your kids will get COVID. Don't worry. Herd immunity right around the corner.
COVID Christmas.
It's the COVID Christmas Castle. Come on down. We have 12 Santas. 11 have died. Do your kids hate Santa? We do too. We permit him to not wear a mask. No hand sanitizer. We require that he be wrapped in plastic. Nothing else.
Yeah, was he wearing a mask?
No. No. Why is Santa going to wear a mask? Please. It's like a death trap.
It could have been disguised underneath like a beard.
Could have.
Beard.
Yeah, that would have been a little weird.
No mouth.
Santa's got no mouth. Because the kids aren't scared enough.
This goes on. Hold on, I'll let it play out just for a minute.
Yeah. Santa's got no pupils. Santa boxes a young man. Cauliflower eyes, no pupils. His mouth is missing.
Step right up.
Step right up. He's got a broom for an arm. A colostomy bag from Vietnam.
Oh my God.
Remember that hair Michael Jackson had? Same hair. His hair melted in the Pepsi commercial.
You were on a roll here.
Come on down. Christmas COVID Castle. We'll take care of you.
Christmas COVID Castle. Oh my God. This sounds like a great outing. Woo! Wee! Yeah, it was right at Christmas and we decided to get together.
Yeah, I know.
We call him Sickle Cell Santa.
We have friends that have sickle cell. I'm sorry, that wasn't meant to be offensive. Sickle cell Santa. I always felt bad about saying that. It's
now it's on recorded for forever.
I know it's alliteration, but you get it. So I showcased this part not to showcase how funny it was, because I really do think that was pretty fucking funny. Yeah, something struck me and I just got going.
It out.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to say and why I'm showing this is because
to create awareness for sickle cell.
Yes, create awareness, and I'm sorry about calling Santa sickle cell Santa. It's a horrible disease. However, I'm not sorry about the corn cob. The
broomstick for an arm.
The broomstick for an arm. Cast iron knees, no mouth. Come on down to COVID Christmas Castle. We'll take care of you.
I remember it was right around Christmas and you were like, we booked a Santa picture taking.
I know.
I was like,
were we thinking? Yeah. What?
You did what? I mean, this was 2020.
This is 2020. Yeah.
No vaccine.
No thought of vaccines. Nothing. Everybody was going haywire. And, believe in the virus or don't believe in the virus. We had children, and one of them brand new. I didn't want to kill him, but I was willing to put him on COVID Christmas Castle Santa's lap. The guy had no mask, no hand sanitizer. Oh my God, it was crazy. Here's the reason why I point this particular one out. You should understand, you should know that it probably reflects in the content that Krissy and I don't do any of this scripted. Nothing we do is rehearsed.
No.
Nothing. Not even COVID Christmas Castle. You go.
It just flows naturally.
This has been... honestly, it's been such a wild ride to go back and to look at this and to think of...
That is really funny.
How far we've come, which is not
not
very
far. Like a couple inches.
Yeah. We're a little bit better than we were on episode 1. At least we have the right microphones. Yeah. All right. There is so much
my God,
more.
I just laughed so hard.
Oh my God, we're only into episode number 30. We've got 200, but I'm not going to do all 200. I'm going to go to 100 and then we're going to be done. So we'll do a part 2, maybe a part 3 of the history of the commercial break, but we're going to do it. We're going to sprinkle it in. I don't want to get you OD'd on a meta, like, commercial break about the commercial break.
Yeah.
For 3 episodes in a row is probably not interesting to people who just joined listening to the commercial. It's probably not interesting to the people who are listening either. This is a vanity project for Krissy and I. Krissy and I wanted to find a way to whack each other off, and here it is. Hey, Krissy, let's laugh at our funniest stuff again.
Let's laugh at ourselves laughing at ourselves.
That's right. Why not?
Boom.
But there you get it. There's the beginning. That's the start. That's the birthing process.
That's the origin story.
Came right out of our pudendas and came kicking and screaming. Well, not necessarily kicking and screaming.
No,
We actually tried to
quiet into the night.
Yeah, figure out how to turn the microphone on first.
Hold on, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. Do you have the permissions set correctly? Hello? Are you getting WSB 750 in your earphones? Oh, my God.
Yep.
But Krissy and I wanted to also say we're grateful to all those who have been supportive all along the way. None the least of which, and I mean honestly, is our wonderful spouses, Astrid and Jeff,
Absolutely,
who put up with this bullshit so many hours of the week that it's just unbelievable. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort to create these episodes. And so thank them. Thank you. Gustavo, Big Will the Champ, Marianne,
Tina.
who else? Will, Tina. Oh, yeah, Tina Cano. Even Dean. Remember Dean?
Yeah, Dean.
Remember Dean? Dean Bodie. DeanBodie.com.
Yeah, we tried to do cross promotions with people. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted us. Now look at us. We're number one in fucking
now
Canada.
we're in Canada. Fuck you, you're not getting on our show. Unless you pay. And it's on sale. 50% off. Call advertisecast.com. You're not getting in unless you pay a really low amount of money. Then, and maybe then. Yeah, so if you want to get in on the ground floor, now's the time. We're right there. Okay, that's all I can do today. So what I will say is I love you, Krissy.
I love you, Bryan.
Best to you, Krissy.
Best to you.
And best to you out there in the podcast universe. Until next time, we do say, we must say, and we always say,
Bye.
Whatever kind of night you're having, start it off right with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. Whether you're mixing up a Bullet Bourbon Old Fashioned for a cozy night in, or a Kettle One Bloody Mary bar for a birthday brunch, you can get the perfect beer, wine, and spirits for any occasion delivered with Drizzly. So,
what's it gonna be?
Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com to choose your drinks today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo Taking Release.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's GOLO.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who have found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com. Again, GOLO.com.
Deep underground, the Jelly Belly factory, BB is in her secret laboratory creating the weird and wild flavors of Bean Boozled.
I've done it again.
Is it pomegranate or old bandage? Dare to compare. Bean Boozled, 6th edition. Are you brave enough?